everybody. Joleen Lunzer!
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to the Big Brother Breakdown with Joleen. Welcome to the BB Breakdown with Joleen. That's me. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Big Brother Breakdown with Joleen. That's me. I break down all things Big Brother Season 24. Thank you for joining me. If you are here live, make sure you smash that like. Let's set a like goal for 800. You guys killed it on this afternoon's video with the likes. I think we're up to like 1.2K likes, which is amazing. Thank you so much. If you missed that video, I talk about all the day's spoilers there. And there was a lot that happened on the live feeds, and that's still going down. So yeah, we'll talk about that at the end of this. But right now we're going to break down tonight's episode 22 of Big Brother 24. And luckily, we have back my lovely, wonderful, handsome husband, my husbando, Chell. And remember, this is Casual Corner. Chell is a casual. That means he doesn't do spoilers or feeds. So he watches it just like a lot of Facebook people do. Okay. So if you want to see what a casual thinks, we have Chell here to break down this episode. So with no further ado, let's bring up my husband, Chell.
Hi.
Okay, hold on. I got to get you on my AirPods because I think we might have. Oh my goodness! You know how I have so many.
You have an AirPod in.
I know. Okay, hopefully it's working. Can I hear you?
Hello?
Yay, it works. Okay. You know how I have mismatched pairs, and you always laugh at me because I lose one.
No, I don't laugh at you. I say, please take care of your stuff so we don't have to buy new ones. That's what I say.
But they've
There's
all
no
come
laughing
with
in the amount that we have to spend on those things.
They've all come with things I've purchased, like an iMac and a phone and stuff so far. So that's
yeah,
good, okay?
But I'm still like, we did have to buy one new one. That's all. In Minnesota, okay. I think we lost a pair.
Oh, we did. Okay, one time.
And
so
then
obviously
you laugh about it, but every time you laugh about it, I just hear in my mind, cha-ching.
Cha-ching, cha-ching. Well, it's a good thing that you love me so much. How lucky for you to have such a wonderful woman to spend money.
Remember that time you were walking and you dropped it in the water and you're like, isn't that funny? And all I could hear was cha-ching.
I totally did. It popped out of my my ear and into the pond near our house. And I was like, oh, and then the next time me and Cho walked by, I go, there's my AirPod. And he was like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, sorry. So anyways, we're here to talk about a casual corner where we don't do spoilers yet because Chell is not going on to spoilers. A quick shout out to TV Talks with Tom. Our friend is in the chat. Hello, Tom, in the UK. Doing my shitty British accent. Excited to have you here. When I do my British accent, it's a little Australian and a little British.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really get it right. So that's just how it is. Okay, well, Dalton says, I try to stay away from feeds, so that's good. We'll just get into this episode because, Chell, so much is going on, and I tried to break our casual contract and tell you.
You did want to talk to me about it, and I said no. So I want everyone in the YouTube world to know that I'm constantly fending off spoilers left and right. I feel like I'm being attacked on all sides. So I'm trying to keep pure for you guys. I'm trying to stay feed virgin for you guys. And hopefully my hymen is intact.
I'm constantly trying to pop Chell's feeds cherry. And I'm like, I have to talk to you. But I went live today for over an hour and I was able to get all my feelings out on it. So I felt
well, the hard part is that you react. And so like today you're like, Michael, lock the door. Lock the door, Michael. And I was like, no spoilers. And then I had to go to the other.
Did I yell that?
Yeah, you did yell that.
Sometimes I forget because I have, my AirPod in and I will just be yelling at the feeds. I yelled, Michael, lock the door.
Lock the door, Michael. Lock it. Lock the door, Michael.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to try it on a floaty. I'll try to share with Chell on the floaty. Okay. Let's get into this episode. All right. So we come back and let me just say, Chell, I was disappointed in this episode. What about you?
I thought it was good drama wise. I mean, sometimes your favorite team isn't going to win. I kind of felt like that. So therefore, I mean, I didn't like the outcome, but in terms of what's happening in the house, it's kind of what we're asking for as a viewing audience. You want to have sides and you want them constantly at battle. So I don't know what I missed in terms of feeds though. So that's really interesting to me because I know that it's edited in a certain way where when Turner enters the house, he's like, I'm on everybody's side. But by the end, I feel like he made a clear distinction on what side he wants to be on.
By the way, I just noticed your name, a Facebook person.
That's what you called me in the beginning. So
I loved it. Casuals are so mature, right? So mature. Okay. The thing I didn't like about it is I thought the edit was a little clunky in that, they didn't. So you've seen the HOH now. Now, when we were waiting on Friday for them to do the HOH competition, they waited so that they could like talk a little bit, yet we didn't get a ton out of that. But then the way they put it together, it just wasn't my favorite. I'll say that. So we start this episode with Taylor coming to the realization that Joseph is gone. She kind of walks away from everybody saying, I need a minute. And she starts crying. And then they do a quick shot to Terrence's face. And he looked annoyed and worried at the same time.
Well, it reminds me of in Celebrity Big Brother, you were watching it once and the line was like, why are you guys crying? Nobody died.
It was Lamar.
Lamar Jackson. So
Lamar Odom? Did you call him Lamar Jackson?
Did I say Jackson? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Lamar Odom.
Well, I kind of agreed with Terrence on this. I was like, I even turned to you and I was like, well, why is she crying? It's just like, it's someone that left, you'll probably see them in like, a week or 2 or 3, whatever, you'll see them shortly. And it's not like they passed away or anything, but you had said that Joseph was the only person that was nice to Taylor. And, I think the way that I view it as a casual, I think Turner was the first person to be nice to Taylor. Turner was the one that during his HOH was like, hey, you guys need to stop being mean. I know I'm the youngest person here, but you guys need to stop being mean. But I think that Taylor's tears come from more of a connection that she shared with Joseph later on in the house, that I think that it does suck that you don't get to say goodbye. So that's how I feel.
So, yeah. And I think that's so interesting that the casual perspective has you thinking Turner was the first person soft to her. I think, like I was saying before, with Taylor, it wasn't only that was nice to her, but someone that she felt like she could trust, she could lean on. Like she hadn't had a person, like a person be like a human to her. Everyone was just out to get her and targeting her for reasons that, were definitely outside of this game because they didn't know her. They were all preconceived notions and labels that they had put on her. And so she really felt close to this person. Then they had the fake fomance to which she definitely fell in like with him. And I'm usually with you when people go and people make a big scene. I'm like, you're going to see him again. But for this one, it's a little different just because he was outside. She didn't even get to say goodbye. She doesn't really know what terms he left on or the ramifications it'll have in the game. So I think it's just a highly emotional time. So then we have some talks and they're asking, the peeps that were in Dyer Fest, how was it? And they're talking about the ants. And you could tell that none of these people cared about their stories about the ants. They're like, let's get to the juicy juice. Why is Joseph gone? And they're just like, and there were ants in my mouth and it was so hard. And I was like, first of all, you were in the backyard. Second of all, you had a refrigerator up there. Third of all, do you know their porta potty show was one of those like flush ones? Like you don't have to look at it like down a hole.
But if it was a flush one, it still smells, It's not like the smell goes away. I just want to know where they put all that poop because it's like porta potties, there's usually like a hole dug underneath, right? And that's where it goes, right? So is it like in the backyard? That's where it goes.
No, they have those truck guys that come pick it up.
Yeah. So then they have to go up on like a platform and then it sits like underneath. It's still gross.
It's still gross, but like those one porta potties where you're just going on top of everybody's going.
Yeah. It's just like that.
Ants. But at least it kind of goes away for a second, kind of like an airplane.
In an airplane, they just throw it out the airplane. It just goes
into space.
Into space.
into Greece, which is a country or a city. Is it in Europe? Is it Prague? We don't know. Speaking of that, why did we have to have this edit why are you still trying to make Kyle and Alyssa happen? It's not cute to me. Is it cute to you, this little edit they did?
I mean, that's not the team that I want to win. So it's not cute to me. I think Kyle looks dumb with his hat and his front hair coming out. It feels like, someone who's trying to show off their pubes, so they pull their jeans down a little bit.
People do that?
I don't know. That's just what it looks like. But that's why I think it's just like, when your favorite team wins in sports, they also have to lose. So you're kind of bummed about it. And this was one of those weeks for me. I think that Kyle is playing ahead of the game right now, and no one seems to be able to catch up to him. And, I think that he's made the moves to best suit his personal game. And I don't know how he's gotten other people to trust him in terms of this week, Turner and Monty, because it just feels like no matter what, he's always going to protect Alyssa, even taking her to like final two if there was like Turner, Alyssa, and him. And, if we are willing to cut off Monty's Joseph, which is his BFF, then we need to start cutting off other people's BFFs. And it's just like, Alyssa's your BFF and she needs to go, buddy.
Yeah. Why is it okay for everyone else's people to get cut, but not Kyle's? And why is no one taking a look at that? That is a great point, Chell. Like, you got to start cutting off his important limbs, things that are going to help him win this game. And Alyssa is one of them. And coming back to this conversation, they're trying to make this showman's edit because, Big Brother loves a showman's, and sometimes the edits can be fun if the showman's isn't despicable. But in my opinion, I'm not here for it. It's cringy.
Name a showman's that has made it to the final 8 that has been non-cringy, because it just feels like every time there's a showman's heading there towards the end, everyone feels cringe about it.
Yeah, I guess to the end, because I'm thinking of like end showmances. I'm thinking Tyler and Angela, even though Angela only made it to final 3. I wasn't a big fan, but they were more like flirty. They weren't full on like humping around. And then you have Holly, Beth, and Jerkson, which was disgusting. And then you had Mike, Boogie, and Erica, which was also a very gross alliance in BB7 All-Stars. And he played her so bad and he was so disgusting. And then he proved later in life to just be, a disgusting person overall, it seems. And then, Jordan, you had like the Jordan and Jeffs, but Jordan made it all the way to the end and won, but Jeff didn't. Rachel, Riley, and Brendan played twice. Rachel won once. Brendan's never won. They didn't make it to the end together. So I guess you're right. The people that do make it together to the end, I'm never a fan of anyways.
No. And I think that's because usually the people that make it towards the end are usually associated with the bigger alliance who, ultimately does things that you don't like. And so you're not really cheering for them. You're kind of cheering for the underdogs.
I would say they did make Jordan and Jeff, or at least Jordan, seem like an underdog in that season in BB11, because you had the return. I know you don't know who these players are. I think you know Jeff and Jordan because we met Jeff. But
you filmed an interview with Jeff. He interviewed you because we were in the audience, and he was interviewing people in the audience. And then we waited for like 2 days refreshing CBS.com for it to come out.
I was like, no offense, but I was like schooling Jeff on how to do interviews too. Like, remember, Chell, or the producers and stuff?
I think they didn't like that. So there's like, she's obviously taking over. This is about Jeff. And she's making
I had to take over. He was struggling. It was his early on in his interviewing. And I was like, Jeff, you can't just smell good. You have to know these questions. Like, we have to come on, we got to get sound bites, Jeff. I went to school for journalism.
It was the ultimate Hollywood dream encompassed. Like, you get filmed for something and you're like, I'm totally going to be in this.
By CBS. And they're like, we're going to air it. And I was like, awesome. And then I got cut and they kept Jeff going, do you guys think you're going to make it to the end? And I was like, okay, great. But Jordan was more of an underdog, even though she came in as the popular clique, because you had the return of Jesse and you had that whole side of the house that was kind of like fighting.
I have no idea. It feels like you're speaking a foreign language to me.
Okay. I mean, the sex stool made it to the end. So
sex stool always gets a vote.
And
sex stool doesn't discriminate.
Nope, sex stool does not discriminate. It actually doesn't even get to consent, the poor sex stool. Sue was saying the porta potty, they use it as compost. It's a compost porta potty. Have you seen those before in like the tiny house videos?
No, I haven't seen those. Are they? I'm just guessing it just stays there.
Yeah, and it's like they put like wood chips in there or something, like mulch. You're like
So
going on mulch.
We're hamsters, basically.
That grosses me out. I imagine the smell.
Should have put a big
a
wheel
hamster
outside
cage.
to really sell it.
I am big on where I'm going to go to the bathroom, and that ain't it. So, but what I was saying is, like, they still had, yes, you had ants, but that's just because you're dirty and you eat in your sleeping bags and there's ants all over that house and stuff. But they gave them a designated place to sleep where they wouldn't have ants all over them. They chose to sleep somewhere else because of the sun or something like that. These are people who are always talking about, I want to be outside. I live in a van. I want to be so tan. I'm from Florida. I love it. And then within a day, they're like, everything has changed. We have turned on each other. You know, they're like having mental breakdowns because they have to eat veggie dogs and beans. So they're acting like it was Survivor. Like, we've watched Survivor. Survivors survive. Like, that shit's hard. This, they gave you a tent, you had a pool, you had a hot tub, so it's not a little hot. They had their own shower.
They had their own shower.
Come on. Yeah.
I think the only thing annoying about Dire Fest was the veto challenge and stacking those styrofoam things.
Yeah, and it was just, this whole thing was basically like glamping, you know, like glamorous camping kind of. I've been camping worse. Okay, so speaking of that veto competition, apparently they had to start and stop it a lot because the wind kept blowing the styrofoam boxes in the pool. And at one time where Terrence was, there really wasn't a lot of wind. So I guess Joseph almost won, but he was in a really windy spot, or he was doing well. And so
Joseph was winded.
He was winded.
And Joseph was winded.
He was winded. Make sure you hit that like, you guys, if you haven't already. Okay, so then we get a little bit of talk of what's going on, right? I mean, it wasn't...
Sorta. You found out, like, Turner was like, I'm on all sides, you know, until he finally basically got Kyle up there first. And then it was like, Kyle, what do you think? You know? And it just, to me, feels kind of weird because with, like, Turner, it's like Kyle just blew up your game outside the house. And he was the reason that you went up on the block. Like, wouldn't you be like, well, I got to get Kyle out because he's obviously like he's a messy game player now because he's willing to throw everything under the bus to save one person. And it ain't me, you know? That's what I feel like Turner should be thinking.
Yeah, and he just was like, I got everybody, you know, I aligned on all sides. Then why win HOH if that's the case? But he ends up winning HOH. But he is saying, you know, once he wins HOH, he's saying everyone is safe, which he's like, I'll deal with the consequences later. But the HOH competition. So what did you think about, have you seen Tiny Veto before?
I don't think I have. I thought this was the first time I've seen this.
Okay,
but,
so
it seemed very difficult. The tweezer thing wouldn't be my thing. I feel like I would have shaky hands the whole time. But I think Taylor. I think
there's so many T names: Turner, Taylor, Terrence.
Yeah, I think Turner did it the right way, which is he held it really close to the edge, like what you're supposed to do with chopsticks. You know, if you feel really like tough with them, you hold it closer to the end, so that way you can actually do it. And then I think everybody else was like further towards the end, so they were like more shaky. But I do feel bad for like Monty, who was like right there at the end. And then Kyle, like 2 times he got it up there, but it just kept falling. I'd be cursing so much in that.
Well, he almost got it. And then he took a deep breath and then he blew his hot breath on it and fell over. And then Turner ends up winning. Did you think that was a good thing for Turner to win?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it brings drama to the house. You want that. So it just wasn't my team.
But for his game, is it good?
I mean, yeah, he seems to be getting back with like the pound. You know, I think he is steadfast on the after party now, and that's where he's drawn a line in the sand. And I think that the leftovers are officially done. And specifically, I think Michael might go home this week in case, you know, the veto doesn't stay the same. I think he's on the block. So we'll see. That's
the plan. But the tiny HOH, this is the first time we've done tiny HOH, but we've done tiny veto before. We get this a little cute veto and the tiny HOH. It feels like, I don't know if it hit the same, but I guess I'm just used to the tiny veto. But Alyssa was very bad. And everyone thought, well, actually, some people thought she would be horrible in the house because she's clumsy. But she was just like this.
Yeah. Well, she's nervous. I'd be nervous too.
She was shaking.
Yeah, crab hands.
Yeah. This is in All Stars. This is the one that Davon won. When we really wanted Davon to win a comp.
Now I know why Kyle likes Alyssa so much, because when she gives HJs.
She's very active, very active. 10 seconds of a sigh lost the game. I don't even think his sigh lasted 10 seconds. I don't know. Okay, so Turner wins, and then he's thrust back up to the kingdom because he had to be out in the elements, and oh god, those ants and everything. And so he's talking to people. He tells Brittany, hugs her. Not you, baby. She's helping him zip his bag. Thanks, Turner. Michael, not you, baby. All right. Monty, never you. I trust you. USA #1, pound for life. Not you. And then he goes and talks to Taylor. She burns him with sauce, and he still says, not you, baby. Not you. And he's going around promising everyone. Terrence is like, yes. DJ Showman Savers like.
That was in the DR though. They didn't in the edit. He only went to the leftovers and said they were safe. He never went up to like Alyssa and Terrence.
Yeah, then that was when Taylor was like, "Are the leftovers still a thing? Are we still leftover strong?" He's like, "Fire, facts, fire for sure, dog. Like we're there, yes, facts." And then he gets up in the HOH room and he starts having conversations with Kyle, and he starts having conversations then with Monty. I feel though, since I've watched the live, it didn't actually go down. They missed a couple important parts that really drove Turner because Turner's initial thought was, I'm going to put Alyssa and Terrence up. Like, I'm going to go back. Sometimes it's hard for me to differentiate between the episode and what I've seen on the feed. So was that in the episode that he said that too?
Yeah,
okay.
He talked to Kyle specifically, and Kyle was like, no.
Yes. And that's when Kyle goes, no. No. But that, he wanted to go back to the leftover strong, the pound, because I think, that is to him, before he went out to this Dire Fest, he really was pound strong and leftover strong. But coming back from Dire Fest, those days that were cut off, I don't know what was told to Turner, but Turner Burner is very heavily influenced by Kyle.
Yeah. It seems like they made a blood pact while we weren't looking.
Seriously, they're like sisters in periods, because I have no idea they're on the same cycle. It's crazy. What did you think about Monty helping them out and them kind of pulling Monty in?
I think that Monty is playing suspiciously. I think that Brittany, at least in the casual edit, the edit seemed like Brittany really pushed the whole idea of like, well, you should probably vote with us, and kind of gave away the game. And Monty's very smart, so he's on top of it. So I think that Monty's understanding that we're getting down to the final whatever numbers, and this needs to be a thing where one of those three goes home.
Because
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. For Turner's game, just thinking game wise, for any of their games, besides maybe, for the longevity of Brittany's, it's not good. And longevity of Taylor's, it's not good. But for, Kyle, Turner, even Monty, getting rid of Michael is actually a good thing. He's really good.
He's the best player.
He is. And he wins stuff, and he's strategic. And if he says, I'm coming, I'm going to get it, he's going to come and he's going to get it. But I think the way that they're kind of going about it now is something that is, it's just coming off as dirty. And not that you can't play dirty, but it's like, is it the time now? Probably. Yes. But do you have to sacrifice Taylor and Brittany possibly to get this done, especially since we had this big speech from Turner, the anti-bullying, and quit using her as a pawn and all that. And now you're just like, I'm just going to use her as a pawn again. And if we can't backdoor Michael, we'll just send Taylor's ass home. And it's like, how did that change so quickly?
Well, how is that? That to me is game. So I don't think that that's messy. I think that, Turner had an original plan, and it wasn't like a Terrence HOH where he was like, changing it up like every 5 minutes, it felt like, and even bringing down an alliance member so he could put someone else up. Like, I think that's messy. I think what Turner's done is kind of talked out his, he's found his final three with Monty and Kyle and him, which I don't think is going to happen as long as Alyssa's in the house with Kyle. But they basically are able to talk about what they need to do. And I think that he's just making the move best for his game, which is find a way to get Michael out, who's honestly the best player. So,
but it does beg to question, is it the best for his game and not taking a shot at the showmance right in front? Because yes, Michael wins stuff, and yes, but he can't be HOH every week, and he doesn't have us for sure. I mean, you could say Brittany, but since they're not in a showmance, those things can be broken up. You'd be surprised, but the showmances, like I said, are deadly in this game because once there's penetration, all bets are off. They are just going to stick together. And we see that a lot with the women in the showmance. So he makes a final two with Kyle, but how could he honestly believe that Kyle will adhere to this final two with him knowing Alyssa's still there? He's obviously going to pick Alyssa. So it's like Turner, I feel like, is taking these hits and doing these things to the leftovers and burning, jury votes possibly and all this stuff, because not only are you putting them up and you're risking their lives, you're lying to them beforehand, and you're not really handling this well. This, in my opinion, really probably wasn't the HOH you needed to win. But I guess you do never know in Big Brother, and I'm not one to say you should throw a lot, but I mean, he was in a pretty comfy place. So I just wonder.
I do feel like if the Brochella people did win the HOH, though, I think it'd be Terrence and Alyssa up.
Me too.
So I think that this was an important HOH, at least for Kyle and Alyssa's game. So I think that that's why he so heavily influenced Turner to make his decisions. But I think that ultimately Turner just wants to maybe be with Joseph out. He feels like he doesn't really have that attachment, right? And so I think he's making moves to be like, hey, we're in a strong alliance. I'll do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. If we kind of stick together, we have final two, I think that's the case right now.
Kate says Michael and Brittany are as bad as the showmans. I can see what you're saying because they're very close. However, I'll argue that looking back to BB17, and you look at like a Vanessa Russo and Austin. Remember Austin, the wrestler show we saw in the city, and I was like, that's Austin from BB 17 or whatever. So they had such a close relationship. But here's the thing. They don't have spermination, and it was interesting because Vanessa's a lesbian, and Austin is straight. And then you have Brittany who's straight, and you have, Michael who is gay. You can come between that. When the $750,000 is there and you can taste it, you can come between it. You can find a way to convince Brittany. You can find a way to convince Michael, because in the end, it's strategy and it's game. As much as they say they're taking each other to the end, it can be broken up. But when you're dealing with a boyfriend-girlfriend, because it's not just a showmance anymore, it's boyfriend-girlfriend. Kyle and Alyssa have made it official boyfriend-girlfriend status on the feeds, and there's love. I don't think they've told anybody though. I don't know. And I would say
that information, if you told people like, oh yeah, we're boyfriend girlfriend now, I think they'd be like, oh, we're gonna put you on the block like as soon as possible.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I think they're keeping it kind of low. Yeah. But I will say that once there is this sexual element to it that Brittany and Michael are never gonna have, that like Austin had with Liz. That Vanessa didn't have with any of them. So as close as she was to him, she's a gamer, and so is Michael. So, but for Michael, I guess you could say he'd be smart to bring Brittany to the end at this point. But Brittany would be a dummy to bring Michael to the end if she really wants a $750,000. If she wants second place, bring him. But her best bet is to go her and Taylor, and they've talked about that.
Her and Terrence.
I'm sorry, her and Taylor.
No, bring Terrence, because then, well, I mean, even Brittany would lose against Terrence because Terrence won an HOH.
Is that what his name is? Luchasaurus? Is that his wrestling name?
Luchasaurus.
Austin? Oh, Luchasaurus? Oh, I said Lucius.
Yeah, you did say Lucius.
So Michael would, but I think you could talk Britt into this. I think you talk Britt into getting rid of him. Yeah, I can see what you're saying, Kate. You can see what I'm saying, and we're just like, we get each other, but I understand. Like you do never know. It could be just as dangerous, but there's just something about that spermination that every time someone gets sperminated on this show, they are going to the and they will, especially the women in it, which makes me so sad because I want the women to just be as ruthless as the guys and cut them.
They were, but we didn't like that they were cutting other women.
No, I wanted to be cut their showmances.
Oh, got it. Because Paloma was ruthless, and she just
Paloma was delusional. She wasn't.
She was delusionally ruthless.
I mean, imagine a Terrence and Britt final two. If today you had to vote based on the game,
voting for a turd sandwich or a giant douche.
Oh,
who do I vote for?
Always bringing it back to old South Park. I love it. Anyone Michael takes to final two, he'll. I mean, I think that's where we're at, especially right now. I mean, he's on the verge of breaking a huge record in Big Brother of competition wins. Right now, he's tied with a bunch of legends, and we're definitely not done with this game. We still got like 5 more weeks or something.
Lock the door, Michael. Lock the door.
Lock the door. I can't believe it. I was yelling things. The feeds were crazy today, Charlie. I wish I could tell you about it, but we can't. Okay. So then ultimately, they have these conversations and Turner goes and he decides, okay. But I think the thing they left out is Kyle's influence was even more than they showed. And without giving away any spoilers, Kyle was present a lot, putting this in Turner's.
He feels heavy-handed in this episode.
Because did you see him showing up at all hours of the? No,
it was just that one time where him and Turner were talking, and then they flash back and they're like, "Hey, you want to be in a final two?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'd love to." And then they went back to like, "Whoa, we should get rid of Alyssa and Terrence." And then it was Kyle saying, "No, that would be bad," And then they brought Monty in because they went back to Dog Pound. How'd you feel? I thought this was funny. When there was the dog pound, which was Turner, Kyle, and Monty, and they're like, "Well, I found out that Taylor, Brittany, and Michael are in a final 3," and they're like, "Well, how dare they do what we do? That's our."
Yes, that was the thing, is Monty finding out because of this Joseph, conversation where he told them when he was out in Direfest after it had been found out that Kyle had spilled and, they knew everything and Kyle had been lying. He's like, well, they have, because I think Joseph was trying to make the point, like, I said no to them. I won't go back to them. I'll fight with you guys if you keep me. But it just didn't work because then Alyssa was like, she walked away. She was like, you played yourself. Like, she was talking to the other guy. She's like, Joseph just played himself because he has told me before that he would never turn down an alliance. That's why he didn't turn down the 5 shitters. So there's no way he turned on that foursome, which became a bigger thing than it really was, like such a ridiculous thing. So then Monty, hears that and goes in the DR and he's like, they can't do what I'm doing. Okay. It's like, he wasn't talking about you, taking it back to another South Park episode when they have the Obama versus, was it McCain or something? Mm-hmm. And then what's his face? Obama wins. Randy Marsh is like, Obama. And then he sees his boss outside celebrating too. And he's like, he wasn't talking about you. Like a change or something. It was funny. But just tons and tons of South Park references. They said Chel's impression of Kyle is spot on. What's your impression? I didn't even hear it.
Someone likes Kyle. Kyle is hype man.
Who said? No, I think they said Chell.
No, it says
Kyle is hype. Oh, because I'm used to calling you hype man husband Chell, so I thought it was you. Okay, so then he does his nominations, and Brittany, she's upset. Michael's like, I know what
Michael
you're doing.
Michael knows what's going on without being told what's going on. He's smart.
Was clocking their games very early and their bullshit and their lies from the backyard.
Well, even before they mixed the houses, I thought they were all in agreement. Like, if Alyssa is still in the house, Kyle did something. And then it just feels like that went out the door. Mm-hmm. Maybe Monty's trying to save himself because he does see the bigger numbers on the other side with Brittany.
Well, the fact that Turner was like, I can't believe me and Kyle would be the first out. Yes, they said, they didn't always say that. They said, if you save Alyssa and you guys vote out Joseph and go against the leftovers, because it should be cut and dry, Alyssa goes. We got 3 leftovers out there and 2 non-leftovers. You guys, if you do it right, you can get Alyssa gone, you know? But the fact that Kyle spilled before Noms, once he hit the backyard, he was like, I'm an alliance called the leftovers, and it's with all these people. Please don't hurt me. You know, like he was just on the idea of him possibly going on the block, he freaked the F out. So they were only saying that in the house, saying if they come back and Joseph's gone or one of the leftovers is gone, then we know, you know, since Kyle's already been acting funny and Alyssa's out there and Alyssa comes back and Kyle comes back, then we know who to target. That to me is just logic based on the loyalty of their alliance. That wasn't for any other reason, but Turner took that as like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I can't believe they would say me and Kyle are the first to leave. Yeah, if you fuck up the alliance out there in the backyard, be the first to leave. I mean, don't you think that's like kind of logical reasoning on their part?
I think everyone is just like, it feels like from the edited, everyone's just like so over dramatic. It's like,
right.
Of course they're going to ask you to leave first because that's the way the game works. Let's try to, how do we make it to next week and maybe the following week? That's where your game should lie, you know? And I think that what's going to happen is once either Michael or Taylor or Brittany leaves this week, if that's what happens, you know, it's going to be like, well, Turner, now you're the target. And the thing that you wanted to do last week was like, I think the safest choice would have been put Terrence and Alyssa up. That's just how it is. Like you would have made less enemies. Super
safe. You got 2 people who can barely win anything, 2 people who aren't your final 2. I mean, Terrence put you on the block. Granted, you put him on the block, so technically you're even. But now just one more, and then be like, you can get me next time if you're still here, buddy. You know, like it doesn't seem that difficult to me. But Turner's making it a lot more difficult. And then, what did you think of them coming back in? And it was just like Joseph's fault. Everything's Joseph's fault. And Kyle had that conversation with Brittany and Michael, and it was just weird.
I think it was good for their team, the after party, because it's just like, hey, let's be on the same page and make sure no one spills the beans. Even though I feel like if Michael won and he was going to put Alyssa up, like Kyle would be the first one to spill the beans on like the after party, you know? So, but I think as a plan of action going in the house, it was good. I just think that they didn't really talk about the details because the stories that they shared with the house members in Brochella was kind of like, you know, it was weird. Like Joseph, you know, he freaked out and like no one really asked questions. People gave them words, you know, and what they were being more helpful than they were trying to be investigative. Like if you're trying to investigate someone, let them talk themselves into a corner so that you can figure out the details and then you compare those details with other people. But like with Alyssa, it was like, I don't remember because it's like, oh, I'm in the house now. And like with Terrence, he was just like, and you know, and then Taylor was like, so it was tough. Yeah, it was tough. You know, like.
So he talked in circles. Yeah. Circle. They were being polite, like what you would do in polite conversation to like save a friend, help them. And really it's like, no, you came back without my ally and my friend. What'd you do?
Yep. And I think Monty should be more, I mean, that was his final 2, buddy. Like, I think Monty should have found out more and pushed for more, but I think Monty is trying to do his best to get, you know, to the final 3, and that's where he's looking at right now.
Yep.
Taylor's acting like how Monty should be acting, that his friend should have got out, you know, because Monty and Joseph were like this.
They were, but they weren't. Like, I don't think they were closer than.
From a casual perspective, they were.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I forget we're in casual corner. Yes, Mojo was just all the talk. That's all they talked about. Mojo this, Mojo that, Mojo. So ultimately, like I said, Brittany and Taylor are on the block. They're both kind of stunned. They're like, well, we gotta do this veto. They both cried. You have Brittany and the DR like, we will do it. We will do it. We will. And Michael, you can just tell he's like, these bitches, I'm going to have to come and ruin all your games. I'm going to have to do you something. Like Michael's pissed. He has that like passive aggressive Minnesota piss. He's like, these bitches. Oh my
Well,
God.
I hope they show on the feeds what you saw today. Or I hope they
They're going to have
hope
so
they show
much to add into Wednesday night's episode. They should make it a 2-hour episode because we not only have that, we have Friday. We have, well, no. Okay. So we had now. Here's the thing. They fucked up on this episode so bad because we had so much they could have added to this episode that happened on the feeds and so many conversations. And it wasn't a good edit. I didn't like it. And now that we have veto coming up, they'll have a lot to add to that. They better we've had some fire feeds, as the turn dog would say, as the rugrat would say. I call him the rugrat now.
My biggest complaint is they keep turning them off, because when they turn them off, then you have to talk to me about feeds. And then I'm constantly like, don't tell me anything. I'm a casual. So this is my plea for CBS to keep the feeds on. What are you doing?
Right? Because then I'm like, challenge. You're like, no, you are disrupting the purity.
Yeah.
You're going to ruin the purity of casual corner. And I'm like, yeah, the feeds keep all day. It's been doing this too. And they cut at very important times. And then they'll show other things that are important. But it's really, it's very frustrating, very frustrating. I feel like they'll mess up, the episode as well. But
it'll just be like 30 minutes of the romance. Alyssa being dumb and Kyle being like, I think that's right too.
This stupid showmance edit that nobody cares about, not even anyone in the house cares about. Like, I know that's a little spoiler, but it's like nobody cares about this. Not even the floaty. Justice for the floaty. The floaty's like, get off me. The towels, chill.
The floaty has been assaulted.
Since you already know about, the floaty fucking. There was unfortunately, Brittany was upstairs having a conversation in that have not room. And you know how I showed this on my earlier stream and I'll show it to you. Do you know how they lay down?
Is this the spoiler?
No, because you already know they have sex.
Yeah, but are you spoiling something?
No, it's just something like gross that I want to tell you. Because I like to tell you gross stuff.
This is a very pure casual corner. And I feel like you're trying to ruin the purity, the sanctity of my corner.
I just want to corrupt you a little teeny bit. Okay. So you know
my corner.
How they're like this, and they lay these towels down, right?
That's nice.
And well, yeah,
they're thinking of other people. Yeah.
But are they? Because then they don't wash the towels. And the next thing you know, Brittany's up there.
The towels are crusty.
Well, what do you think?
No, Brittany, no.
Yes.
No.
She's covered in Kyle's spoo. Did you think her legs were pregnant? I'm worried.
No. Uh-oh. 2 women are coming out pregnant in that house.
I was just like, oh my God. You go
Did she wipe her face with it?
I don't know.
Those towels have to smell. They have to smell.
And they haven't had access to the backyard. So I don't really know how their laundry's getting done. If they're sending it back to get done, like the HOH gets theirs done, but they're using the same, because you see that other towel right here.
Brittany should automatically win power of veto for dressing herself up in Kyle's jizz.
Seriously. And, and also, I forget her name. She's so not relevant to the show. Alyssa's juices as well.
Yeah, that's what it feels like there would be a smell. Like you'd be like, it smells in this room. There's like no windows in there.
There's no ventilation.
Yeah.
And we got sex going on for 10 seconds with a guy who probably
maybe like Brittany misses her husband so much she just wants to be near someone having sex.
Maybe I don't know, but it looks like Michael's about to get up.
It looks like Michael's like he's trying to touch the least amount of area in the room. Like it doesn't feel comfortable at all.
It's just like skeet city, and I don't even know.
Skeet sheets.
Skeet sheets, yeah. Brittany covered herself in the skeet sheets, and nothing will ever be the same.
Oh my God.
Again,
guys, if you're having sex in a public house, like clean up after yourself. Wash the sheets afterwards.
Especially if that's like towels people use. Thank you, Katie, so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. Adore your channel. We adore you, Katie. Yeah. I think that was the first super chat live. I hope I didn't miss anyone's, but thank you.
We will not send you BB skeet sheets because
we won't send you skeet sheets.
You have donated to us.
You literally would have to do like Rook is saying, the floor is lava. Like
The floor is splooge.
the floor is splooge. The anything on that floaty, and even her
Yeah.
sitting on it when she finds out later everything that's
She finds out?
happened. No, when she does after the show.
Yeah.
Once she
She'll
finds out
take
how
a
they
nice 3-hour shower.
right? How they've defamed this. And they sat in this room for quite a while today. So I was just like, no. Now let me ask you a question as a casual Chell. Do you know who this guy is?
No.
Apparently he's the Twitter shared it. He's the
If Kyle and Melissa had a kid?
it's supposed to look like Kyle, but it's the mean kid from Polar Express, I think. And they said like the villain kid. I don't even know if I've ever seen Polar Express, but
I haven't. No.
So, but that kind of does look like him. And then I would like to get
Skeet sheets.
Skeet sheets. We need some the Polar Express, yes. So
Skeet sheets.
skeet sheet. Oh, skeet sheets. Sheets. Yeah, I was just like, Brittany run, Brittany no, Brittany stop.
The sweat drips down my floaty.
So all my pre-ejaculation, all pre-eject, you know, because it's just like this guy. That was his face.
Is that his sex face?
Ejaculating. That's his O face.
Oh my God.
Angry little O face. I was trying to make today. I shared it in my
what are the odds that they'll make it to Europe together? Do you think they'll actually go? I don't think that they'll go. I think they'll break up before then.
You know what? I kind of think so too. I think this is.
I think when you're in that house, you're with like 8 people. You don't see anybody else. You're just like, wow, that person that I would never find attractive out in the real world is really attractive.
I think that would be true for her. I think he won't shut up about how hot she is. Like, whenever she's mad at him, he's like, "You're so hot and you're so sissy."
So you think like his TikTok will totally be like sad boy after this? It'd be like dances you can break up to.
Probably. I checked his TikTok and he's getting roasted in his comments by people.
Oh, I feel bad for his mom. His mom's probably reading that.
She's running it, I think.
Okay.
But he still has like over 500,000. Like,
I don't think it goes down ever. I just think that to read those comments, you're like, you used to be the dancing guy. Now you're the 10-second guy.
The crazy thing is he didn't even really dance that much.
Oh, really? He'd just be with his shirt off?
Yeah, and then he kind of do like a shoulder roll. And it was like, let me see a shoulder lean. Like he would do like a freaking, lean back. Like it was just nothing.
I just feel bad for his mom who has to read that stuff because she was the one who encouraged him to be on TikTok.
Yeah, and this was her dream too, to be on Big Brother. And I'm sure she is, regretting that now. Well, maybe he learned it from his mom. I learned it by watching you, okay? Do you know what I mean? Remember that commercial back in the day?
If he's the 2-pump chump, those are very slow pumps. I'm just going to say that. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000.
And then he comes back like this and he does his little shoulder TikTok move. And then 2. Okay. So 2-pump chump, do you like that name better, Chow, or do you like the floaty fucker?
I like the Skeeter. Skeeter.
Oh, let me write that down. Skeeter. Oops. Now we got Zingbot coming up, Chow. We're gonna have to think of some zings. Do you have any zings you want to share?
No, I'm not good at zinging people. I'm good at like toasting people. I'm good at that.
Okay, well, we don't want to toast him. And then
Kyle, your hair can sometimes look good.
Boom, toasted. We taught our niece and nephew that because they were roasting each other too much.
That's a good one for her. The insecurity blanket.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. And then the rug rat, because he makes rugs and he's a rat.
Oh, why did they call him a rat?
I just did.
But why though? Like I understand, like Andy, he was a rat because he, in the season that he won, he would be in alliance with everybody and then tell on everybody. But I don't think that.
You're a casual. I can't.
You can't say. Got it.
I can't say. Otherwise, I'll have to share things with you. You don't want to know. DJ Showman Saver instead of DJ Showtime.
Oh, okay.
Or DJ Slow Time.
Slow time. I like DJ Slow Time.
Because he's like slow to the game,
Yeah.
slow to the, and it's like, I'm going to get there.
Yep.
And he does, even when he spins, it's slow. He's like, so we'll have to come up with some zings, Cha. We'll have to get better at that. I'm good at dragging people, but like organized roast, I haven't done one of those in a long time.
You're great at dragging people that do something really bad. That's when you're good. So I hope that somebody in the house does something really bad. So that way you get all mad and then you're like, I gotta go live. And then you just roast them for the hour.
That was today. That was
what happened today?
While you were napping, people were like, can Chell hear this? And I was like, no, he's like napping. You woke up, you didn't even know I went live. And I was like, I went live. There was like 1,300 people. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, it was super fun. And I got all my feelings out.
And then you got tired because I took a nap. So now I'm awake and now you're tired. So.
And then I fell asleep during the episode.
One, Danny. DJ Snore Time.
Ooh, Danny, that's a good one. DJ Snore Time. The DJ because he's snoring all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we'll make a new graphic.
The karaoke host.
Let me know if that's copywritten, so don't copy me, Danny, because I'm gonna add that one.
If I host karaoke's, does that mean I'm a DJ? I feel like I don't know, because it's the person picking the song. I'm as a DJ, I don't pick the song. It's karaoke, right? I give them the books and then they put in the song.
Yeah, I mean, well, the karaoke we've been to is those ones like in LA where you do like a private
Korean
karaoke
one.
room. Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah.
Those are the best.
You're by yourselves with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you don't feel bad if someone does really well because they're just showing off in front of everybody. And you're like, Jesus Christ, join a band. What are you doing here?
Right, because you have those ones where people go to karaoke who are really good with the bands,
like,
and it's awesome, but then they go up like a million times and you're like, can we get somebody else? And she's like, hello from the outside. And then she's just like, oh yeah, we get
like
Adele
with the mustache. And you're like, God, I hate Adele.
Yeah, it could be 10 sex talk. Sex,
I would totally see Adele live. I think that would be great.
Me too. That would be so fun.
Diva. I love me a diva.
The floaty is sticky. The floaty is sticky.
Yeah.
Yes. So we end the episode that way. Okay, I can have the copy written, so don't copy me. Danny says it's fine. It's fine. All right, guys. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, I would say I have some spoilers, but actually all the spoilers I have are in the video I did earlier. So just go watch that because it's concise. It's there, and I'm like boom, boom, pow with it. Because really the feeds have been, they really didn't come back on, I think, until recently. I don't even know if they're on right now, but I'll check real quick and see if they are. I know. Okay, so they're back on right now. It looks like they're in the backyard.
Why don't you ask people maybe in the chat what they want to talk about, and then you can give your opinion on that, because maybe they seen something different.
Okay, well, I'll do a couple. I'll do like 10 more minutes, and then probably head to bed because I got to get up early tomorrow. And I love talking to you guys, but we'll bid Chell a fond adieu until I see you next time.
I don't get to be a part of this.
Oh, okay, but it might be spoilers.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, you meant just like questions about.
No, I was just trying to get you to do a little bit more for the people because I was reading the chat during the live and they're like, we can't talk about spoilers while Chell's here. And so I don't know what they want to talk about.
Oh, well, they probably want to talk about spoilers.
All right. Have fun, okay, kitten?
All right. We love you. Bye, Chell.
Bye, everybody.
If you want to go get me Diet Coke,
I'm still here. 10:27. I'm opening up apps.
I ran out of Diet Coke today, you guys, and it has been.
You don't need it tonight, right? And you said you'd go to the grocery store with me, so tomorrow. Yeah,
we got to go to Trader Joe's tomorrow.
With me tomorrow.
They don't have Diet Coke at Trader Joe's. If you just want to go grab your wife one who loves you so much, and
you need to go to bed. You said that, so why would I give you caffeine before?
Oh bed? I'm ADHD. You give me caffeine, I get tired.
No caffeine. Sorry.
All right. Bye, Big Daddy. Bye. All right, you guys. Okay, so now that Chell, close your ears. He's in the office. He's closing his ears. All right. It looks like the feeds are back on. If you want to get a whole comprehensive look at all the stuff from today, that went down on the feeds that happened from the morning until the afternoon, until they really cut it when Kyle went in the DR acting like he was going to self-evict. Then you want to check out the video I did earlier. But we can talk a little bit about kind of what we think is going to happen. So I don't know. I'm just trying to look and see if I see Kyle, because we were thinking he was going to self-evict, but then people said they saw him back out on the show. So in the backyard right now, I see Terrence, I see Monty, I see Turner, I see Michael, and I see Taylor. So, and all cams are on them because I'm on the quad and they're all on them. So I'm assuming Alyssa and Kyle are inside. I don't think Kyle left, Russell, because I heard that there was an appearance from him that he left the DR and that he is still there. And like Dawn's saying, he's still there. I think, okay, he's inside eating alone, pouting. Thank you, Ethel. I think that is a good choice on Kyle's behalf because it's something that he needs to talk to the other house guests about. It's something that he needs to be questioned about. It's not something he needs to be coddled over. So if we're going to get the coddling Kyle, don't ask him about it, don't talk about it, then I think he should have self-evicted. But if we're going to get a man who's going to come back in after being in the DR for hours upon hours, probably crying and calling his mommy, if we're going to get a man who comes back out and is like, all right, I want to have conversations and I want to, make amends and I want to do this, that, and the other thing. Now I still want him to go, but he could use this time before he's evicted. Because remember, we're coming off an episode where Kyle's basically like, I'm made in the shade. I'm awesome. I'm great. And now Turner has said, since finding out about the Cookout 2.0 theories he had and the alliance that he wanted to make with all of the White House guests and how he thought every person of color in the house was working together. Now that everyone in the house is aware of that because of Michael and Brittany, they share that information today with everyone. And once Kyle was aware of it, that everyone knew, he ran to the DR like a crying baby. But that's when Turner said, all right, he was like, it's better for my game if Taylor leaves. So Turner didn't have the greatest response. I would argue Alyssa's response initially took it a little more seriously than Turner, but then Alyssa just turned back to, I don't think he would do that. And he's not like that. And it's like, you don't know what he's like. He's been lying to you for a month. He's been sleeping with you and lying to you. So you really don't know what he's like. So for you to say, him, do you? Because Alyssa, she's battling this, like she knows deep down she can't trust this guy and that he's been lying to her and yet sleeping with her. And now somehow he wants to be her hero, baby. And she's like, but you lied to me. And then she's super jealous of everything when the leftovers is brought up, and it just reminds her that she wasn't a part of it and that the dude that she's obsessed with, that she's already really insecure and she's already really jealous, that it just bothers her even more. So if Kyle would come back in the house and Turner puts him up and he still gets voted out, he has this time to make amends. He has this time to have the conversations. And if Big Brother would air these conversations, I think this is really important for the public to see. Because if he runs off like a baby and doesn't come back, which we see now he is back, but let's say he decides to self-evict tomorrow. Or if a Big Brother's trying to protect him and going, his mental health is so bad, he can't talk about it. We can't. It's like that doesn't help anyone. And that will just perpetuate this idea that somehow Kyle is the victim in this. And we have to remember, Kyle is a 30-year-old man. He said things in this house and he has organized a kind of attack on all of the people of color based on nothing other than they're people of color. There is no indication, no proof that they were working together. Other than one time in 23 seasons, he saw Black house guests work together to have the first Black winner. That's all he knows. So now he thinks that every person of color, Indy included, is somehow working together, even though Nicole was voted out, Amira was voted out, Terrence has been on the block. Nobody seemed to like Taylor. They treated her like shit. So it's just all based on his own biases and fear. And at this point, like targeting them is extremely bigoted. And, so if he'd be willing to have these conversations, I think it could actually, the conversations are the thing that's really going to move the dial forward. It's really going to make us progress as a people. The more we try to protect people's racist behaviors for fear of some kind of cancel culture. Again, there's nothing Kyle can be canceled for. He's not even employed, nor does he make any money on TikTok, because apparently he hasn't even monetized that shit yet. And the TikTokers I know who have even more followers than him, they go to YouTube because they don't even make that much money there. So he really can't be canceled. And, people want to immediately run to this cancel culture. But sometimes there's a consequence culture, and that's okay. And it's okay. No one is saying he's going to be destroyed for his entire life and he'll never be able to come back. Racists come back. They bounce back all the time. Racists, sexist, sex offenders. You'd be surprised how much they bounce back. But if we really have these conversations, these true conversations, which is kind of what I like about other countries' Big Brothers, because I feel like their shows, they do have these conversations, and ours, they want to just hide it. And that's why, Grodner and the producers of this show and Big Brother as a whole are always getting dragged by fans and people that really care about this show, because we want the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like, if someone's going to act ugly, I want them to have to answer for it. I want them to have the conversations with the house guests. I want him to have to look every person that he was targeting and having these crazy, opinions about in the face and explain to them. I want him to explain to us as an audience. I want these conversations to be had. I want him to know the gravity of his words. I want the viewers to know that. I think it's important, and we're never going to get anywhere if we just keep trying to hide for fear that the racists are going to get their feelings hurt and fall into depression. Well, we're all depressed, and there's Zoloft for that, sir. So there's lots of outlets to help the racists, but what about helping the people in the house that have actually been the victim to microaggressions and the behavior of Kyle's throughout the years? If you look back on Big Brother seasons, they have been blatantly racist. And I think what people are finding it hard to see right now with Kyle is they're not seeing a Gina Marie who's literally saying the N-word. They're not seeing an Aaron who's literally using, homophobic slurs, using Asian slurs, being blatantly racist. But there is a point there. It isn't just blatant racism. There's aversive racism. There's all kinds of different levels of racism and ways in which racism can be translated onto others. And so just because he's not standing in the doorway yelling racial slurs on people doesn't mean that his actions and that aren't equally harming or aren't equally racist to that. Some would argue that they would rather just a blatant racist, because then you know where they stand. They suck all around. But the people that come in like Kyle did in this kind of like fake allyship, similar to what I think Turner's done right now, are the really scary ones, because you think they come in with good intentions and then they don't. And they're only doing it because of optics. But eventually your true self always comes forward. Eventually your true self always shows, And I feel like you can learn a lot on Big Brother, because this show is never, the American version of Big Brother is never going to be without racial issues until racial issues and racial relations and racism in America is no longer. Because it's a direct reflection of the United States, of our culture, of our country, of our politics, of our thoughts, of our beliefs, of our conditioning, all of that. These people live in the world with the rest of us. We are seeing blatant racism. We're seeing all kinds of different racism happen, implicit biases. Every day we're learning something new. Hopefully we're all, trying to learn and educate ourselves. And so that's not going to get wiped away like the freaking Matrix, like you're going to take the red pill or the blue pill when you go in the house. All that follows you in, because that follows us in life. So when people say, it's about race, I talked about this earlier, it's just so frustrating, because it's like, of course it's going to be about race. This whole country, we're literally in like a race war at this time. I mean, there's a war on women. There's a war on Black people. There's all these wars that are happening. We got xenophobia through the roof. How do you not expect that to trickle in to the Big Brother house? And how do you not expect that to affect the game? No one out here, I know some people are like, liberal trash. I get called liberal trash all the time, and that's fine. But I don't understand how you don't understand that nobody Do you think I enjoy, oh, I just love this. This is so fun. This is not fun for me. But I do think it is upon other white people to check other white people, like check your privilege with their privilege. This is where I think Brittany and Michael went wrong at first. In the moment that Kyle brought up this Wonder Bread Alliance and this Cookout 2.0, they should have checked his ass so fast. I don't care if it's a game or not. I do not care. You got to check that shit, just like you have to check it in the real world. And yes, sometimes there will be consequences for you for that. But just for the betterment of society as a whole, I would say you got to check that shit and you got to call it out. You got to stop it right there, nip it in the bud. Like, Kyle, no, I don't like that direction it's going. Say exactly back to him what he said to you and what it looks like, and then see his reaction. And I think that's the only way that you can stop this kind of stuff. Don't make excuses for him. I've heard too many excuses. He's a good guy. I don't think he meant it. I don't think he was. Does that help any of the Black House guests that he didn't mean it? But he doesn't know. He's 30. He's 30. There comes a point. Have you not taken a history class? Have you not turned on the news? Do you not know what's going on in this country? Like, it's too sheltered for me. It's too willfully ignorant. And I do not forgive or give a pass to the willfully ignorant. I actually hold them even more responsible. And yeah, I don't, even Julie's covering for Kyle. And for what, Russell? You're exactly right. You got to call it out. And in that moment can be a place of education for Michael, who obviously is, a gay man and has dealt with his own, adversities due to that, could have a human conversation with him in that moment. It's just up to us now as Americans, if we do want our country to be a better place for everyone, to have these difficult conversations. And they're going to be difficult. None of these conversations are going to be easy. And they're not supposed to be easy, but at least you are just having the conversation. You literally aren't living with this kind of bias and bigotry and racism to yourself. And I'm talking about like white people like myself. You have to have the conversations. I've had very blunt. There are some family members I don't talk to. There are some, but that is how I choose to move forward in my life, because just because they're your family, that don't really necessarily mean dick to me. If you're a bad person who's unwilling to progress and grow, and you don't want to, acknowledge other people as human beings, and you want to have hate in your heart, well, then I don't want that in my life. But I've definitely felt, I've called out things and people have not been happy with me, but oh fucking well. That's like a small price to pay just to kind of say something, to do something. And that's kind of what I look to the White House guests in the house. Instead of worrying about Kyle, will it ruin Kyle's life? Will Kyle be okay? I'm not really worried about Kyle right now. I'd rather check on Terrence and Monty and Taylor. I'm not worried about Kyle, because Kyle's going to have to grow up, and there's going to be times in life where you say things, but you can always come back. Most things you can come back from, and most things you can learn from, and most things you can grow from, but you got to drop your ego. You got to drop all the bullshit, and you have to do some work. You have to make amends. You got to educate yourself, and you have to admit you fucked up. And that's something I don't think that Kyle, I don't think he's ready for, because he's probably been so ingrained in this kind of thinking and these kind of biases that he doesn't even think that he is that. But there's also part of me that thinks he knows this is wrong too, because he's very, very afraid. So yeah, a good dose of self-awareness, Russell, is good for everybody. It literally is. You got to get checked every now and then, and you do need to be self-aware and know your strengths and your weaknesses. And it's okay to call out your friends, and it's okay to call out your family, and it's okay to do it, especially when we're talking about the hate and the discrimination of other people who have been marginalized and discriminated against for far too long. And we're never going to make any progress until we actually make a commitment to say, I will be an ally. And people will be like, oh my God, okay, whatever, you woke snowflake. It's like, well, who's the snowflake? You're the one that's crumbling at the thought of me actually using my voice to maybe do something in this, while you just sit there and judge me and get mad. Sounds like you're crying over, what are you worried about what I'm going to do? So it's like the first person to call you a snowflake is the weakest bitch at the party. You know what I mean? And also snowflakes are fucking strong. They shut down cities. If you've ever been in a snowstorm, I grew up in Minnesota. Like that shit will shut it down. Okay. So I don't know. It's just, I mean, they're very unique. I think that metaphor is off because snowflakes, not each snowflake looks alike, but they're actually not weak. They're actually very strong. Yes. And they're unique. So it's just, who cares? Like what do I care what some hateful idiot who doesn't understand the basics of bigotry thinks about me wanting to, call stuff out and check people and use my privilege to check their privilege. I tell my husband that all the time. I'm like, I'm going to check my privilege with their privilege, because I mean, what else are we going to do? Otherwise, you're going to have a bunch of Kyles and Jerks and Mickeys walking around and we got to coddle these fuckers. And they go out in the world and they procreate and it just makes more hate and more hate. And it's like, oh, I don't want to talk about this. Well, what a luxury for you that you don't want to talk about this shit. How luxurious for you that you don't have to talk about this shit because you can just turn it off when you're seeing your friends out there in the world, fellow Americans who can't turn this off because every day their skin color paints them as a target to this bigotry, racism, biases, things like that. So overall, I just think CBS, have the conversations. If he's willing to say this on camera, don't cut the feeds. Let us see it all. The good, the bad, the dirty. Let the conversations be had. Let other house guests call him out. If you are a big, strong 30-year-old man who can put his wiener in somebody and play this game for $750,000, there are going to be things you might say being filmed 24/7 that you might have to answer to. And it's not a bad thing to have to answer to your bad behavior. That's actually a good thing. Google Menendez brothers. He looks like there's a third Menendez brother. I bet he feels left out. He was like, well, why didn't I get invited to that party? There's a third Menendez brother. Wow. I have no idea. Wow. Katie says, I know how they attack people for being who they are, the way they walk and get judged. And I'm non-binary. The judgments, especially if most of us go through this world and we'll know, whether, you're a woman, you're non-binary, you're gay, you're, trans, you're just outside of race, I guess I'm saying. If you know that feeling, then it's like, I feel like you should fight even harder for people and speak up even more. So, and yeah, the fact that he's getting this lovable dummy edit is so infuriating to so many people because it's just like he's not. There's nothing really lovable about Kyle. Kyle gives off not only what he's been saying, about the Cookout 2.0 Alliance and his wanting to form a Wonder Bread Alliance and what he thinks the people of color are doing. But then, comments he's made to Turner when Turner looked like something like a rice farmer in Thailand or something he said. I don't know. And then also how he even talks to and treats Alyssa. Like there's some issues there. Mitzi says people hide by the ignorant card, too much info about it. Exactly. You cannot be, you're just being willfully ignorant at this point because you can't be ignorant to this because it's 2022. It's in front of us every day on the news. You turn it on. I mean, the news is the most depressing shit ever. And it's just boom, boom, boom. And there's just too much out there. There's too much literature out there. There's too many think pieces out there. They literally have videos on YouTube explaining to you when people are like, well, explain how that's racist. Well, look it up and then I'll explain it to you perfectly. But what a luxury to have someone explain racism to you instead of having to experience it again. Like the privilege. I think Turner is a disappointment as well. I do think he's a disappointment. I think his reaction to finding out that his final two is a big old bigot was very enlightening for me as a viewer to see. Oh, okay. You don't care. You still want to target Taylor. You still don't take this seriously. This like allyship that you have, it really isn't very real. And it wasn't until like Brittany's like, well, maybe we should bring up his business and he's an entrepreneur and that might have negative effects. If you're more worried about the optics of it than you are the actual problem, that's a problem. And it starts not just being a game anymore, because you have to remember, we've watched, and I know a lot of these house guests haven't, but we watch season after season of, namely, why the cookout formed is you would watch Black players who just were not allowed to play the game. They were put under casts of all white alliances. They were targeted racially, very blatantly racially, just going back to like BB15 for another example, where players like Candace and Howie never even got a shot. They were too busy fighting off the racists, and nobody stuck up for them except for each other. And it was really heartbreaking to watch. And we see that enough times on this show. I mean, you go way back to older seasons, you see a ton of that as well. You see it in BB11. You see it. I mean, really, there isn't a season, there's not many seasons that isn't hit by this. So it's just something that is going to remain a part of this game until change is made outside, Davon, Christmas. I mean, that whole thing that went on. Davon with Frank. Remember, Frank was like slapping her ass and weirdness over there. So much. Tyler using the strategy in All Stars of for Bailey and Davon, and then he got like such a great edit out of that. But there was some problematic things and promises and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's he'd be great in a Confederate BB season. Hey, I mean, seems like we've had a lot of the Confederate. Yeah, I mean, Candace literally had these white chicks go in her room, flip her bed, and go, "What are you gonna do about it, girl?" Like, I'll do all this like neck roll stuff, and she had to somehow remain calm. Howie had to like pick her up and like, and I just those are images that I'm just like, how can we not look back at that and think there's been a problem for a long time? And this isn't just every season fans want to bring up race stuff because it's so fun. It's literally what we're watching. And if you're not watching it, then you got blinders on, Dalton says, America needs to do better. The way we're viewed internationally is gross. Yeah, they look at us like we're friggin' dumbasses, because in a lot of ways we act like dumbasses. We have all this fear around our fellow people, our fellow Americans, my fellow Americans. We have all this fear around us that makes us act and think and talk irrationally, makes us prejudge, makes us put our biases out there. And it's not good. It's not good at all. When he carried her out, I mean, that was just that season. Oh my God. And if Candace would have said or did anything, she would have been angry. But yeah, and yet Gina Marie is able to go out there and still show up at events. Like, Gina Marie, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should never want to show your face again. She was just the worst, and such a racist, and an illiterate racist, no less. And she's still out there trying to tweet, trying to be relevant. And I'm thinking, no, woman. And she was a 30-plus-year-old woman who lived with her parents too. White lady lived with her parents. Do we see a trend here? Maybe. And Aaron Greer's, Kyle's like, I'm going to be canceled, all this stuff. Sir, Aaron Greer's now. Aaron from BB15 now has a very popular mommy blogger channel. Yes, she does on YouTube. She's very popular. That she makes her income from. So that's the thing. I'm less worried. You're going to do fine. You and your tiki-takis and your mommy's going to do fine. They're not going to take your mommy's mortgage away. But you're going to have to man up. So we'll see how he handles it. I can't wait to see on the feeds conversations that he'll have, or if he's had any yet with anyone. I heard he was talking to Michael. We'll see. I would hope that he would. I don't know how he's going to mature and have these conversations when he never has before in the house, but I don't know. Robin Cass got all the blame for casting, but Allison Grodner was the real problem. And here's the thing. Casting only gets you their hopefuls. Casting will throw a bunch at the producers and at the, executives at Big Brother and stuff, and they'll go, here's who we got. Here you go. And then ultimately it's up to them. So Robin Cass could have picked great people. She could have. And then they were like, but we like that Aaron. And she's like, oh yeah, she's an option, but it's all up to also what the executives are looking for, a certain type. So, and again, that is something that will come as well with not only more people of color being cast on the show, but behind the scenes, because it's hard for me to think that if we had like Arissa Cox as an executive producer, if we had more women of color, if we had more Black women behind the scenes and in positions of power, that this would be handled this way. But we're being handled by old white people who are in old white people land in their head. And they just think the fan base is crazy. And we can never please them anyways. And it's actually, most fans aren't asking for a lot. They're just asking for people to be held accountable and to do better when you bring people on the show. And more transparency, because this is a show where we're supposed to be able to watch them 24/7. And, but then you cut feeds to protect the problematic people. No, if they want to be problems, let them be problems and let us judge. Let us see what's actually going on, in my opinion. So, yeah, there you go, guys. That's the only thing I have. I did a video earlier. If you want to see a little more, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little tired on the, I'm a little sleepy, but it's very important topics that we're talking about. And I think they deserve discussions, and they deserve open discussions, and they deserve to be shown on this show, because we know it's happening. And if you just cut it, but we hear part of it, we know it's happening, and then we never see resolution. And there's so much opportunity for education in this. So it seems like if a TMZ writes an article, all hell breaks loose. Yeah, there's a lot of media outlets, TMZ and other places picking up this, and it was trending, stop protecting KKK Kyle. So, I mean, it's out there. And so to now some kind of change the narrative and not show what's actually happening makes Big Brother look very sus. And it's not a good look. And it's like, who are you really protecting? Are you protecting, the problematic people? But what about Taylor? What about Monty? What about Terrence? Are you even caring how they might feel in this situation? So there you go. All right. Thank you, Katie. Thank you guys so much. So again, check out my video earlier. Follow me on social media at Joleen Lunzer on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and then I have a Facebook one too if you want to follow there. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for all of your comments. Shout out to my mods. You guys are great. Let's see. Happy Wife says, are live feeds really cut? No, live feeds are on right now. They're just all on the same thing, the backyard. And everyone's in the backyard except for Alyssa and Kyle, it looks like. So they're probably inside pouting. But yeah. Russell, I appreciate it. Welcome. And thank you. It was fun engaging with you in the chat. Yes, the feeds are on right now. So you guys take care, get rest, take care of yourself, protect yourself wherever you are in the world. Hopefully you're having a good day, night, morning, afternoon, and remember to enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye. If you like what you see.